full time in Leipzig, and it ends RB Leipzig 1, Bayern Munich 1, in a fascinating early season title contender clash, I think it's fair to say. And it was a really good test, I think, today of RB Leipzig's potential, Bundesliga winning credentials. They came up against the Bayern Munich side that really dominated the ball, dominated possession, particularly in the first half. And of course, we knew today that the strength of Leipzig was always really going to be dependent on their counter-attacking ability. And that was something that was made very difficult indeed by the early Bayern Munich goal. Bayern, of course, went 1-0 up a couple of minutes into the game. Stray possession by Leipzig. I think it was Klostermann about on the halfway line, gave the ball away. Bayern turned over possession, and a through ball saw Lewandowski in on goal. He was played onside. I think it was by Konate in not a great advertisement for the Leipzig defence. The offside trap certainly didn't work well on that occasion, as Konate just stepped out of line. And it played Lewandowski onside, and once Lewandowski's through on goal, 9 times out of 10 he's going to convert, and it was a simple finish in the end, slotting the ball past Galatsky in goal. And from then on, Bayern really just dominated the ball. They stifled Leipzig. Leipzig couldn't really get into the game. Whenever they tried to counter, it was broken up, and I think on the balance of play, Bayern certainly had the best of the first half. But then 2 really decisive moments, both penalty shouts. One was a penalty. The other one was initially also a penalty, that being the incident for Bayern Munich. Interesting use of VAR again, and a VAR being in the headlines. I think it was Lucas Hernandez, the edge of the box, sort of shot the ball or crossed the ball, and the follow through of Sabitzer appeared to catch Lucas Hernandez's leg. And I think in terms of full speed and in terms of real time speed, it looked like there was contact. It looked like it was a late follow through. But then of course VAR is used to give the referee a better close up of it. They certainly had a good look at it on a number of occasions. Of course, the referee on the television monitor. And when it slowed down, you could certainly see that there appeared to be very little contact, if any contact at all, and it was overturned. Leipzig survived that scare, and you really have to think that Bayern would have got to score that penalty, as they probably would have done. Then it may well have been game over. They were, at that point, they were well on top. They were in control. They were looking good. But it gave a second chance for Leipzig, and from then on, they looked a bit brighter, almost like they were sort of awoken out of their stupor, and were kind of looking a little bit improved. They forced the play. They kind of pushed forward, and in doing so, that they found their goal, and it came from a penalty. Poulsen, having his leg kind of taken away from under him by, of all people, Lucas Hernandez. Penalty was given. Not too much debate around that one, and coolly finished by Emil Forsberg, who came back into the side today and looked very good. I thought he linked to the midfield and attack well, like he did in Gladbach, and really helped the sort of 2 strikers, him and Sabitzer, to sort of create a couple of chances, particularly in the second half. You look at the formation that RB played today, and in defence it was very much the classic Nagelsmann, 5-3-2, leaving Timo and Poulsen up front on their own. But then from an offensive point of view, it was an interesting kind of, I guess you might say, a 3-3-2-2, if you like. Classically sort of Nagelsmann, in terms of experimentation, but he kind of played Forsberg in more of a central role with alongside Sabitzer, kind of playing as attacking midfielders, if you like, who had license to kind of roam wide as well and come central when they had the ball. And I think in the second half it posed Bayern 1 or 2 more questions. They overturned the ball much better at 1-1. And I think in the second half, Timo Werner had a couple of half opportunities, particularly Timo being played in, normally coming from a counter-attack. There were a couple of occasions where he had a bit of a tight angle and either fired wide or it was saved by Manuel Neuer. Sabitzer too had a very interesting long-range shot saved by Manuel Neuer. the balls just seemed to swerve in the air very, very aggressively, and Neuer was just able to kind of palm the ball away. But the swerve certainly caused one or two problems for the German number one. And of course, Bayern, they had chances too. Gnabry and Koeman looked lively on the wings, I thought, and Kimmich put in a couple of good crosses. Pavard on the right-hand side looked threatening when he managed to get forward, impressing again at what would seem to be his now favoured position of right-back rather than centre-back, where he did struggle at times, particularly in the first game of the season. So I think a sort of fairly balanced contest. You might say that Bayern had created the better chances. Lewandowski had a couple of opportunities and half opportunities that were either saved or he put over the top. You know, thinking of a header in the first half, I believe it was, that was just over the bar. You know, a couple of other good chances late on as well. Tolisso had a shot saved, a bit of a sort of split reaction from Galatsky. And I think, you know, on the balance of play, you might say, well, Bayern, you know, should have been 2 up with the penalty and certainly could have nicked it late on with the Süle effort. You know, but I think for RB Leipzig, they'll be relatively pleased. They come away against the title contender rival, potentially with a point. And I think you take that and you build on that. And, you know, I think they stay top of the table now. You know, 2 points clear of Bayern. And certainly, I think 3 points clear of Dortmund as well, maybe more. So it's a fairly good afternoon, or good evening, I should say, for Leipzig. I think, like I say, they'll take that. Bayern will I'm sure, rue missed opportunities. And yeah, on the balance of play, a fair enough result. And both sides will go away, I'm sure, feeling like they're well in this title race. And you know, Nagelsmann, I'm sure, will try and downplay expectations. But really, when you have Timo Werner and Poulsen up front, you know, when you have a solid looking tactical plan, and when they are as good as they are in transitions and counterattacks, I think you have to say that they may not be favourites for the title. Certainly, you know, Bayern outplayed them for large parts of the game, and certainly Dortmund looked brilliant today against Bayern. Though, you know, those two teams have to be the favourites. But I think today was a sign that maybe Leipzig can have a say in this title race, and that you just never know. But for now, we wait and see. And that's all from me, as Leipzig and Bayern share the points in today's match.